Welcome to Drink Coffee, Do Cool Stuff. This is a podcast about living with purpose, leading with courage, and doing work that actually matters. I'm Jason Elrod. I've spent decades leading teams, writing, speaking, and learning what it really means to live like your choices matter. Whether you're grinding at work, chasing a dream, or just trying to figure it out, you're in the right place. Here, we explore the tools, ideas, and stories that help you lead with courage, live with purpose, and build a life that matters. Today, I'm joined by my longtime friend and ultra-endurance athlete, Brian Recore. He's run more than 100 ultramarathons, including some of the toughest races in the world. But this conversation isn't just about running. It's about life. It's about the discipline to keep moving when it's dark and the progress feels invisible. It's about knowing how you're going to answer the hard questions before they're ever asked. Brian's story is discipline, preparation, and purpose in action, and I'm excited to dive into it. So let's get after it. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time since we talked last.
It has been, and we were just chatting. We've known each other for a long time, and it's been a long time since we've actually talked. So I miss you, man.
Yeah, I miss you. We had a couple of ventures.
We did, but we're going to kick it off though. It is called Drink Coffee, Do Cool Stuff.
All right.
How do you take your coffee?
Well, things have changed. So pretty much now I drink it black if I do drink it at all. I think you might have even got me on just drinking double espressos.
Triple espresso over ice.
Over ice. That's right. Ice double espresso. I don't go to the store. I don't buy it or anything like that. But if it's there, maybe at church or something, I might get a cup or something like that. But I kind of just moved away from that. I don't really have the patience to spend the time to drink the coffee and everything. So I'll take a couple caffeine pills in the morning, 200 milligrams, like 2 cups of coffee or something. Okay. Once in a while, maybe have a 5-hour energy and then get some pre-workout and get on with it.
And you're good to go. I've got a morning ritual, not just because I like the coffee and the caffeine and the effects, but I get up, I go to the coffee machine. It is an overly complicated coffee machine.
Well, I remember some of them that you had.
Yeah, this is one of them. Probably costs as much as a car.
Yeah.
Small car, compact car. But it's that ritual, morning rituals. Like I get up, I do that. I go out and I sit on the patio and I watch the sunrise and I contemplate a little bit. I'm either going to be setting my day up or looking at something. I might read a couple verses, in there and set my day. And then I get after it. So it's got its whole ritual around it. It's not just the coffee anymore.
I guess I have a ritual too. I think everybody does. It's like getting a little bit of caffeine, you get the plumbing moving, if you know what I mean.
Oh, we went there already. Okay.
maybe stretch a little bit. Things ache a little bit first off, and then it's like, okay, I got 2 dogs begging to go out for a run, or it just depends on how I feel. If I'm going to get a workout in, or if I'm some exercises, or if I'm going to get on the rowing machine, or if I'm just going to start running. And that's starting probably around 5:30 almost every day.
Ooh, okay. So mine's about 7. So you've already ran, you've had your ritual, you've talked to the dogs.
That's right.
It's moved.
It's somewhere, sometimes it's in the neighborhood of 2 hours, just kind of just exercise and stuff, getting that out of the way.
So let's pull on that a little bit because, it's about drink coffee, do cool stuff. So one of the really cool things you do, in my opinion, is you run. You run a long way.
Yes, I do.
And you keep running. And to this day, you're still running.
Yeah, I still am running. I've been running ultramarathons probably since 2001 now. And, started off just trying to run a marathon. And I realized I wasn't going to qualify for Boston until I was like 70 or something, just because I'm not fast. And it's like, okay, what's next? And I had a coach for an arthritis foundation that I was volunteering for, and I didn't even know anything longer than a marathon existed. And he's like, oh yeah, you should try this Tahoe triple. and you run around Tahoe, 3 marathons in 3 days. So that was my second, third, and fourth marathons back to back. And then he's like, oh, yeah, you did pretty well. And he helped me out and crewed me and everything. And he did pretty well. He's like, you should try the American River 50 miler. I'm like, there's a 50-mile race? And I was like, I didn't even think. I was like, okay. And have to put all the pieces in play. And I didn't know 100 miles races existed back then. And this is probably 99, 2000 timeframe. Then I just kind of crewed some friends. Ray Sanchez, he's a Sacramento guy. And he was doing Brazil. He's like, hey, I want you to come crew me in Brazil. I want you to crew me in Badwater. And I was like, okay. I didn't even realize these things, but it was so cool. And I started reading a few books, some of the ultramarathon authors that are out there. Dean Karnazes was one that I read his book and was reading about Badwater. I'm like, that is so cool. I'm going to do that. And of course, I'm reading it to my wife, and she's like, that sounds stupid. And,
that sounds like something she would say.
Yeah. And so you having a goal eventually to go back and run Badwater myself after crewing Ray. And I had to put all the pieces in play because there's ways to qualify and all these things for that. And then you just start running, and you got to build a resume to get even qualified for it. And at most, I think I topped out at like 600-mile races in a year, and did that for probably like 5 or 6 years in a row. And then kept going, and it tapered off. And this is all while the kids were little. I mean, they were in jogging strollers with me doing some of my training runs and stuff. And so I kind of warped their minds as they grew up, because I've continued to do it. They don't think 100 miles is far. They don't think 50 miles is far. So we just continue to do it. I'm probably down to maybe 2 races a year. And they could vary anywhere from a 100-mile race to I've done across the year 6 days before. I have a 48-hour scheduled in February to go do. Just doing as many miles as you can in those ones. Did a different adventure called Heart of the South. Okay. And it's one of the Laz races and his crazy formats, and had to run across South Carolina and run across into Georgia, into North Carolina. And unfortunately, I didn't finish that one. I ended up getting ankle surgery shortly there afterwards. But made it like 200 miles before I had to tap out on that.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of mind-boggling statistics when you take it over time.
Yeah.
Right? the numbers get big. It's like you ran and you kept running and you continue to run. How many ultra marathons, an ultra marathon being a race longer than a marathon, do you think you've run over the years to date?
Shoot, I think the last time I looked at ultra marathons over a marathon, it's over 100. I can't even count. I can't remember what Ultra Sign Up says, but I'm in the neighborhood of close to 60 100-mile races that I've done.
So not just ultra marathons, but 60 100-mile.
Yeah, close to that. It might be 58 or so. I haven't counted lately. But it's like,
I don't know. It could be 59. Yeah. It could be 62, whatever.
I stopped counting the smaller ones because 50Ks and stuff like that. It's like, because there's times that I'll just go out and run.
Like 30. Marathon training days.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned 200 miles in 48 hours, I think. What's the longest you've done in one stint?
Well, across the year 6-day race, I did 305 miles. So that's a 144-hour race, and you got to manage your time and manage your food, you do have to sleep in those. 100-mile races, you don't. Even some 48-hour races, you could probably get by without sleeping and maybe take a 5 or 10 minute little power nap. But in the longer ones, you might lay down for 2 hours or something. And then you kind of like strategically have to do that. The best time is probably 9, 10-ish. After sunrise, it starts getting a little bit hot, and then you can kind of lay down a little bit, get out of the heat, rest up, and then get back into it. A lot of people would want to probably lay down in the middle of the night, but that's when all the miles rack up, even if you're just walking, because you could walk a 20-minute mile, and you do that over a couple hours, and then all of a sudden things add up.
So what would you consider one of the coolest things you've done or experienced? It would be one of these races? If you were to put that in context.
I don't, I mean, it's different. I mean, you were going to ask a question, I think, about what motivates you also.
Yeah.
But, from a cool factor, these, initially, yes, that was it. Badwater was my goal. And it was kind of like you finish that goal and it's like, what now? What now? It's kind of a letdown.
There's always the next plateau, right?
Is the next plateau. And I kind of started to realize it's more the journey and the stuff that just the process of going through everything and just doing it day in and day out. I think it's pretty cool. I keep doing it. I stay motivated. And actually, I don't even like the word motivated. It's just more just discipline and just do it regardless, right? Because there's often days that I don't feel like it. So it's running a lot of the cool big races, Badwater, Western States, Brazil, Hawaii. Some of the ones out east that I've done quite a bit they're pretty fun. It's just a whole different type of camaraderie with the people as you've experienced coming out crewing me. It's different vibe than a marathon where everybody's just trying to go as fast as they can.
Yeah, true. So, crewing you with Badwater.
That's right.
With the Badwater event.
2010, I think it was.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I still have the shirt. I was going through my shirts the other day. I was like, look at this one. It's white with the gray writing on it.
Yeah, I still have it too. It's a little bit smaller now.
Time passes.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and I think we talk a little bit about motivation. I'd love to talk about motivation a little bit more here too. But I think motivation is kind of a liar. Mm-hmm. About what you can get out of it. Motivation will get you started, will get you to the path, and maybe get you through a sprint. But it's discipline. Discipline's the thing that actually produces results, produces things of value, that carries you through when you don't want to get up.
That's
it's
right.
not convenient. It's not easy. And if I'm thinking back to Badwater, I remember two things from it. One, I said, I probably don't ever want to do this race.
I know you said that. Yeah.
Just saying. But two, and it was something else that you had mentioned to me during that race. Because as we were prepping up for it, you explained to me that it's not really a running event. It's a mental event and it's a logistics event, is what you said. You said, hey, running an ultra marathon, yeah, there's the physicality to it, but it's a logistics. It's like, how do you eat?
100%.
How do you do things?
The running's the easy part. It's the other part, the logistics and the mental part, it's like, that's the hard part. That's the stuff that you got to manage. And it's hard to stay motivated for 24 hours, 30 hours, right? I think you got to have that mental fortitude that this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to sign up for. Know what your answer is, I guess, when you want to quit. Because I think oftentimes that comes up at some point or another. Things can go sideways. Your feet get all messed up. Your stomach gets messed up. Your body starts just, locking up and everything. What do you do? And yeah, motivation's crap. You probably heard it from a bunch of different athletes and different stars and stuff.
Motivation's crap.
I 100% agree with everybody that said it. And I live it. And that's just, it's what I do.
Well, so how does that maybe define what your version of success is?
Oftentimes people want to, make a lot of money or do, reach these top positions or whatever the case is. I think just being able to take care of myself, being able to take care of the family and raise good kids, right? I think that's more success, in my opinion. So it's like, I found success with that. I think the discipline transfers over and what you're able to do in life, right? And what you're able to do with the family and stuff. So you pass on these lessons, now my son, Chase, he's 21 and he decided that at 10 years old, he wanted to run a marathon. And then
wonder why.
Yeah. And then, and then now he's 21 and he did his first 100 last year and he's already signed up for another one. It was a small one. He was doing some training in San Diego and he drove up to Riverside. It's called Nanny Goat. It was around a 1 mile loop. But he just decided, I'm going to go do it. And he's like, you want to crew me? So I flew across country and said, okay, let's go. And so it's being able to pass that stuff down, and, you know, hopefully he could pass that down to his son.
So it sounds like you have these moments, but what was a moment that you knew what you were doing mattered?
I don't know.
Well, you just mentioned a part there.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, success is defined by how you live your life, not the things you have or what you're collecting necessarily. The lessons you impart, how you help someone. Mm-hmm. And you just mentioned, hey, your son was like, Chase was like, hey, bang, I want to do this. Didn't sound like that was a question. You're like, I'm there. Will you crew me? I'm on the flight.
Yep. I don't know when I realized, you know, these things were happening. It's just kind of like living that life. Things kind of manifested themselves that way. And looking back on it, it's like, yeah, that's not in the process, in the journey. I didn't know that I was doing this. You know, it's like I traveled for work. We just celebrated 26 years. And my wife jokes, it's like, we've been married so long because you've been gone half the time. And
well, that'll be in the show notes. How to have a successful multi-decade marriage.
Early on, I was gone a lot because I was traveling for work, but then I'd want to come home and do a race. So I'm gone the whole weekend, and it wasn't contentious, but it wasn't her first choice for me to do, and she put the rules down. And this is your choice. You're going to do this, but you're still going to have to come home. You can't go to sleep. You can't rest or anything. You got to go take care of the kids, take care of the family. You know, so it's like, the race doesn't stop when you've hit the finish line. It's just like,
just keep swimming. Keep swimming.
Oftentimes there's a 2, 3, 4 hour drive after the race that I got to do. And then you get home, and, you know, I've had a few races that I spur of the moment, you know, on a Wednesday, I decided I'm going to go do a race in Vegas. This is when we lived in San Diego. And I told her I'm going to go do it. And she's like, well, Sunday afternoon, you're coaching your daughter's soccer game. I'm like, don't worry, I'll be back. So I go run the race. You know, I think I did it in like 23 hours or something, 22, get in the car, drive home. I got home in enough time, you know, to take a shower and turn right around. And I was about 5 minutes to the game and walking funny. And the little girls are all saying, why are you walking so funny, coach? And I told them what I did. And they're like, why did you do that? Yes. But it's funny. Yeah.
It's always funnier when you're looking back at it.
It is. Yeah.
Which I think is a good question to ask yourself, like, wow, this really sucks. Yeah, but will future me look back at this fondly and have a good joke or see it a little better?
Well, hopefully you're enjoying it while you do it. And,
yes,
you know, I think there are parts of it certainly you enjoy, but then, you know, there's things that come up, right? And you look back and it just makes for a funny story afterwards.
That is. I think that's some of the best parts of life, by the way. Yeah, but I didn't die. And here we go. So let's unpack that a little bit, though. So I sense a lot of parts of that work for you, that really work, right? And you and I are 100% on the same page when it comes to discipline, not motivation to do things. But not everything's all sunshine and rainbows. So how did that maybe, what were the negatives of that? Was there anything about that you say, hey, you know what? What was a negative lesson you might have learned from that versus a positive one? Because there's a lot of great positive things, but I believe for a lot of folks in life, the biggest propulsion is when you have something to move away from while at the same time simultaneously having something to move towards. Yes. When you align those things, I think that's where you get the most growth, but that usually means you're moving away from something too. So.
Well, I wasn't running away from the family at all. I think I was just kind of being selfish at the time and taking away time from everybody. So that was, looking back on it, that was kind of bad. I think early on, I had all these big aspirations and goals and didn't have the money for it. So I just started spending on credit card, right? And that just, you know, the races aren't cheap. and a couple $1,000s adds up over time. So it's like, oh, that probably wasn't a good idea either. Right. So those two stick out in my mind. And it's mostly time, right? Time is, is pretty valuable. I think I've heard you say that before, and so how are you going to spend your time? And am I doing it by myself? Am I doing it something cool, or should I be spending time with the family and stuff?
Right. Not that they're mutually exclusive.
No, there's trade-offs. There's trade-offs for sure. Right.
Well, what'd you learn from that? What's the learning there? I mean, because I can go back into my history books and pick out a bunch of things that I'm not proud of, that happened, that did it, that maybe today me would make a different choice on how to spend my time. Because you're right, time is life currency. That's it. That's all you got, and that's how you spend it.
Yeah, you said we all have 24 hours in a day, right?
That's it.
Yes, I mean, you make me think about stuff that I don't ask myself, so just kind of coming off the cuff here. I think
that's the whole point of this conversation. We talk about that. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. We're just going to talk about stuff. We have history, and we haven't talked in a long time.
Yeah. So I think probably learning better time management. It's like, is it the right time to do these things? Can you afford to do those things? What do you have other plans coming up that you're taking away from? Now I cut it back to 2-3 races a year, trying to plan it out strategically. I mean, running 3 Badwaters, crewing twice. Every time I was there, it was over my daughter's birthday. So it was like, she remembers that I wasn't there for her birthday for several times. She was probably, when I run that, starting at 4, going on to maybe 8 years old or something like that. I wasn't there for her birthday. So just kind of like maybe planning a little bit better. It was something that I should have did. Maybe I do now. I hope so.
Time again. Time. So time teaches us a lot of things too. So it is our currency. You're right. 24/7. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you were born. What position you are in life right now at all. I mean, that's it. You have the same 24 hours that I have. It's how we choose to spend them. And is the effect of spending it that way the effect that we want? So time management, huge. But is there something you would tell? So I don't ask this question to everybody, but is there something you would tell? Well, let's just go back 30 years. What would you tell him today? Say, hey man, outside of buy these stocks and, invest in Bitcoin and outside of those things.
Yeah.
What's the life advice?
I don't necessarily regret anything that I've done, because you learn stuff from all of it. I'd probably tell myself back then, hey, don't get into drinking as much, right? Because one of my vices, it's just been through the years. I'd probably tell myself that. I envy people that have never tasted alcohol or don't drink anymore, but it's something that's there.
Yep, I could feel you there. I think it was a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I went to the doctor and they said, hey, you got liver disease?
Oh, no.
I was like, what? What? And because my blood work, because I get it done every year, they came back and they said, these numbers are way out of whack. Way out of whack. And I quit drinking cold turkey. I was like, nope, not going to do it. And that was not easy. It was a social thing. And then, just because I went cold turkey, I said, I've got to really concentrate on my health. And it came out, and I don't have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I don't have that. My liver was fine, and it was just an abnormality. And I might have a glass of wine every now and then with dinner now.
Yep.
But it was part of my life, and now it's not. And it's still tempting. But every single event, every event, it's, hey, let's get a drink. Hey, let's get a drink. Hey, let's go to this happy hour.
Yeah, I'm in sales.
Nightcap.
I'm in sales, so traveling, and maybe I'm by myself at the hotel. Just go down to the bar, have a meal and some drinks. Or if you have a happy hour, work sponsoring a happy hour, and you got customers coming in, it's like, okay, free drinks, and then everybody's doing it. Doesn't make it right. But I don't know if it's like our age group or just the cultures that the work cultures that we're in. But I've noticed more and more of the younger people that are coming into, the sales and stuff that I interact with, they're not drinking. They're not drinking as much.
Yeah.
My wife's joked to me before, don't have a lot of recessive traits, but I do have excessive traits.
I'll quote you on that one.
Yeah.
That'll be in the show notes. We talk about not recessive traits, but excessive traits.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I mean, so big into stoicism. Okay. One of the coins I carry around with me, of course, is sitting back on the shelf over there. The coin says memento mori on it. Memento mori. So that means remember you'll die. Remember you have to die. But there's no side memento vivere. Remember to live.
Oh.
And so the idea is, it's almost like that carpe diem, seize the day, right?
Yeah.
But it says nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. Nobody's guaranteed the next step. Nobody's guaranteed the next moment. So remember, you could die right now. Are you living all in? So I think the methodology you're talking about, like, hey, I'm going to get after, I'm going to go after something. I'm going to do it 100% to the best of my ability, is great. I mean, that really describes how to build a fantastic life. Because I think we talk about time, we talk about it as a currency, but I don't get to choose what I'm handed in life. And then I've got to decide to do something with it.
How do you react to it? What's your choice after that?
Bam.
Yeah.
What's your choice? What did you choose to do with it right here and now? And that choice, moment by moment, minute by minute, builds your history. You're writing your story right now. So if you go look back and say, if you concentrate and you give 100%, you love 100%, you focus 100%, you go for it 100%. What's your story? You look back at it and say, okay, well, at every moment there, I gave it everything I could for that moment.
Right. And I think that's something I've come to realize, especially in the races. Something that's taught me is that you have to be present during the race. If you think about, the end of the race, when I get to 100 miles, that's 20 plus hours away. You can't think about that. You got to think about right now and how you're going to get through each minute, each time, where you're at right now. And that translates into life, right? When you're doing something, be there, do it. Try not to be looking at your phone. We all have bad habits of that, looking at your phone or thinking about something else. It's kind of selfish in a way. You're not focusing on the people around you.
Yeah. So I have to ask, what do you think about while you're running?
I mean, I've thought about everything and sometimes nothing. I've gone on a race before and I had a nice job offer in front of me and it was going to be probably not quite doubling my pay, but pretty close to it. I go on a long race and I come back and I tell my wife, nope, not taking that job. She's like, what? All that money we could change. We could do all these different things. And it's like, nope, because it's gonna change the whole balance that we have right now, and it's just not going to be, something that's going to be beneficial for us. So just kind of thinking about life like that, or like I said, sometimes thinking about absolutely nothing. Just like some of those times, I think we've talked about it before, where you're driving in the car and all of a sudden you don't know how you got 10 miles down the road.
Exactly.
Right. And the same thing in a race. I was like, maybe I'm thinking about something, but I don't remember it. All of a sudden I'm 10 miles past where I was. Right. And it's like,
yeah, that's a race blackout.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is that being present. It is that meditation, right? You meditate out there. I mean, I definitely don't run as long as you or as far as you, but I don't put a time limit on when I'm running. So if I go out for a run, I mean, if it's 1 mile, it's 1 mile. If it's 9 miles, it's 9 miles. And the big difference between those, the differentiator, is when I go out for the 1 mile run, my brain goes, bark, 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 and I'm done. Yeah. And it's quiet and I go back. The 9 miles usually like, I start the running and my brain's going, and I get to like mile 3 and I check in and it's going, okay. And I get into mile 5 and it goes, and then then I get to mile 8, it goes, and then I get to 9,
and it's not there.
And it's not there. And now I know it's time. Now I know that I've given it enough time to sit with it, to sit with my thoughts, sit with what I needed to talk about, sit with what I needed to think about or contemplate. And it's refreshing. It's cleansing.
That's almost that's when you keep going more, right? And you stay in that moment.
And if you're Brian Recore, you run for 3 more days. And then you go, how did I get here?
Yeah.
So how does this translate to your leadership style? Family, work, community?
Yeah, having some roots in discipline and stuff and accountability. You're trying to hold people accountable, responsible for their actions. Yeah, and also leading by example. I'm not the loudest person, the most outspoken person in the room, somebody that's telling everybody what to do and stuff, but just try and just lead more by example. As a coach, at times you have to get your point across. You have to tell people you got to do this, and delegate certain things or whatever. I think, hold people accountable, and you do what I say I'm going to do. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Walk your talk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who talk about stuff.
There'll be oftentimes I'll just say, no, I'm not going to do that. But if I do decide I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And sometimes I do things, because of, discipline, and you do it even though you don't want to. But then there's also, well, shoot, I don't feel great this morning, but I said I was going to get up and do it. I even told myself I was going to get up and do it the night before. So it's like, okay, now I got to get up and just do it regardless. And you stare at your shoes a little bit, you stare at the weights, and it's like, oh, okay. And as I've gotten older and the more I've done these things, the time factor doesn't matter as much. It used to be like, I'm going to go run 3 miles. I'm going to go as fast as I can and you maybe hit a PR. And it's like, well, that doesn't matter. Now I'm just thankful that I can get out there and run and just keep going. Right. And I'm not hurting. That's always a good day when you don't feel any pains and stuff. If I'm out going and I need to walk, I'm going to walk. I'm not going to push through every single time, every single workout. Thankful for the days that you can get after it. But I think that's just part of it too. You just keep in that consistency and stuff. And those days will come. And I don't know where I've heard this before, but I say it often, some days you're the bug and some days you're the windshield.
I've heard that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Concentrate on being the windshield.
That's right.
So what's older you going to remember about today you fondly? I guess we could answer both sides of that one. What's older you going to remember about today you fondly?
Well, one of the things that I think I made a decision I was pretty proud of. I chose to get baptized on September 14th. And I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I was baptized as a kid and stuff, but started going to church and again with the family and everything. And I'd be sitting in church and just start crying for no reason. And then it just felt something come over me that I had to make that choice and get baptized, give my life to Jesus. And now I think looking back on it, that was a good time. That was a good decision, because now decisions going forward are going to have probably a little bit more purpose behind them instead of just randomly doing. I think thought was good for me. Right.
I think that's powerful. I'm going to say recent events have actually brought me back to the church, has brought me back to Christianity. Yeah.
And it's across the nation. I see it at our local church. It's way more crowded. It's like, man, we got to get there early now. We can't get there 15 minutes late. It's like we can't get a parking spot or something.
You can just stroll on in, 3 minutes. Yeah. On time's on time. Early's for suckers, Yeah. Now early's on time. On time is late.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's powerful. And I think, there's a lot of people where the Spirit's really moving him, and probably where it had never moved before.
100%.
And for others, I think in that space, coming back to your roots,
and I think
and understanding that.
I feel like you open your mind, you open your heart, and you give yourself to Jesus. You start to recognize things more, right? Mm-hmm. That you may not have noticed before. So maybe you're reading something, or maybe you see something, or something happens, and before you might have just blown it off, but now you're more aware, I guess.
It's a psychological phenomenon. I think it's called the reticular activation system,
Oh,
the RAS. And it's when you never see a car, a specific car. Let's say you drove a Honda, and all of a sudden you see that Honda everywhere, or you start getting interested. I want this truck, and all of a sudden you see that truck everywhere.
that happened to me. I was like, I wanted a Raptor so bad, and I would see one all over the place.
Over the place.
It was like, and I would point it out. Look, that's the car I want. That's the car I want. Every
They're
day.
everywhere.
But before, you don't even notice it. And now I don't notice. I don't have one, but I never got one. But now I don't even really notice them.
And that's that function. So it's been around you the whole time.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it in that context, God's always been there.
Yep.
It's been around you the whole time.
Just
been waiting and saying, hi, I'm here.
Yeah.
and finally you go, what is that noise?
Yeah.
What is that? Take the blinders off a little bit.
Yeah.
It's there.
100%. Yeah. You notice those things, you feel those things that you might have just blew it off before. So.
Yeah. I think a couple episodes I said, silence isn't neutrality, it's surrender. And I think now's the time to really put that voice out there. Pick a side.
Yeah.
and go for it. Because you're uniquely the person who can do it in your circles, in your communities, in yourself. It's you. So get after it.
And you can't, also realizing too, you can't do it alone.
You can't do it alone.
Your walk with Christ, you can't do it alone. The races I've done, can't do them alone. Being at Badwater, it was almost a team thing for us to get through it. Even though I was running, I couldn't have done it without you guys.
Yeah. And I think that's the other big lesson. You realize that you're not alone. No matter how you feel, you're not alone. And embracing that, I think is the world needs more of it.
Yeah.
The world needs more of it.
We got a little deep there.
That's what it's about. It's real. You get a little real about it. So, you pretty much answered one of my last questions I usually ask folks, which is, what's one choice you've made or event that's happened recently?
Yeah.
That reminds you life's meant to be lived on purpose. And I think we just answered that.
Yeah. But we did answer that. And it also is something that I would look back on, say in 20 years, what made a difference?
So what advice would you give to folks nowadays? Life, work, health, a great cocktail recipe. I'll go to. I have a few of those, but maybe those end up in the notes.
I have some recipes too. I do all the cooking now. Our roles reversed, and I love to cook and experiment with new things. Just go find a recipe. There's always something that's happening, and now it's like I had to put my phone down today. I'm doing a 48-hour fast here. I'm first day into it, and I start scrolling on social media, and all I see is food. And it's so good. It's like I want to watch it. I want to go make it, or just think about eating it, and it's like, nope, we got to put that down.
Okay, so I'm interested in fasting, so I'm gonna have to come back with you. I do 24-hour fasts every now and then. I'm looking at that 48 and then above.
Yeah,
it's almost like running those miles, right? So I don't plan to do an ultramarathon of fasting, but 48 hours is the next goal on my list.
It's only my second time doing it. I did it at the beginning of September. I've been thinking about it. I ran into some old friends, and they had done it, and it's like, and even my neighbors were talking about it, and it's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Figure out the time to do it. I choose after dinner on Sunday nights, and I can go to sleep. So I sleep most of it off the first day, or first 12 hours at least. I don't sleep 12 hours, but I don't eat breakfast really, anyways. So you get up, work out, and the day's halfway gone on the first day, and then you get through that dinner time where the urges come, even having a drink or two. Kind of get through that, and you don't even get hungry, really. It's weird, but there's different reasons. I guess I've chose to do it. That one, to flush out a lot of the toxins increase the inflammation in your body and stuff, and then lose weight, of course. And then there's also some type of spiritual connection too, some mental clarity that you get starting on the second day. I've heard it comes even more on the third day. I haven't got there yet. It's something, I think I'm going to work up to. We'll see how I feel tomorrow.
Well, yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I'll check in tomorrow on that one. Yeah. But I'm with you. I'm on it. I think I don't know if I ever pronounce this right. Autophagy. I think it's after 24 hours that your body really starts to get rid of all of the trash, all the used up cells, the dead cells, the things that are maybe not as good a condition as they could be. So it kind of starts clearing house. And then as you get towards that 48 hours, then that really kicks in. And then 72 hours, I heard that's sort of the sweet spot. If you can get to that.
Yeah. People have done it longer. People have done it longer. I don't know if I'm interested in that.
No, quite yet. It's delicious.
Yeah. That's why I'm kind of glad we're doing it here. It's right during dinner time, so I don't have to be upstairs.
See, yeah, I'm there for you, man. I give one of these, right?
Yeah.
Bam! Look at that. Wow. I'll have to leave that in on the video edit. But hey, man, if people want to get a hold of you, would you be willing to, with questions or whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. My email is brian@brianrecore.com. My website is now defunct. I tried to start a blog back in the day and it just wasn't for me. I don't like talking about myself a whole lot. I don't like writing a bunch of stories, and I have opinions. I am not short on opinions, but I'm not.
I have opinions. I just don't like to say things.
I'm not going to share it, just willy nilly. Right. So, ask me questions. I'll tell you.
You got to join your Patreon in order to share your action. But if you'd like to hear my opinions, here's my Patreon.
Yeah.
Well, great. And then how about if people want to connect with you on LinkedIn? Is that something you want to put out there or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know the website, but just Brian Recore. I think there's two of us in the country. There's another guy. I don't know him. I don't know if we're related or not. But he lives out in San Diego. No, he's not actually.
Okay. Well, then how do you know which one?
Yeah, and there's different. We all Google ourselves sometimes, and you see what pops up, and there's different articles and stuff that people have done, or a lot of race results and stuff.
Well, I think you've done some amazing things, and one of my other guests has been doing some ultra running, just sort of getting into that. Has not done 600 plus of them, but I think it's one of those things. If people are interested in that kind of stuff, I know you are an amazing resource about that.
Yeah, thank you. You talk about time. We talked about time earlier. I didn't mention it's like, you got to get when you're doing a bigger distances. You got to get your training in somehow. So I could be running and, somebody calls on me. Okay. It's like, why should I sit at my desk for 4 or 5 hours in a row when I could be doing something else at the same time? Right. And people are like, oh, well, you're not paying attention while you're doing that. And it's like, well, you're not either, because you're probably reading email or looking at your phone, or you're browsing the web while you're supposed to be listening to something else. So I still can capture, 70, 80% of whatever's going on.
I think that's the key there. If you value it, you'll make the time.
Yeah. And that goes for everything too, right?
It goes for everything.
It's like, getting in the habit now is first thing in the morning. What would I do before? Just like pop up, social media or something. But now is making a cognizant choice to maybe read some scripture. But now is maybe do a devotional. It's starting the day off right. So you got to have that purpose, and make those choices.
It is. And the point right there on the, if you got time to scroll social media, you have time to send a quick text to somebody you haven't sent a text to in a long time. To say, man, hope you're doing well. Just thinking of you.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
a family member or a friend, or, if you're out there and like on LinkedIn and somebody's like, I got a new job. If I don't even know them, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to hit the little celebrate button. Yeah. Good job. Fantastic. Awesome. if you have time to just fritter it away watching, I don't know, Kung Fu Cat videos or something, you also have time to maybe, if you have time to do that, you have time to reach out and say, hey, I love you, Mom.
Yeah.
Or son or daughter.
I think sometimes, well, not for everybody, but you make it a purpose to talk to your family, to talk to your kids. Like my daughter lives close by. We have dinner every weekend, sometimes more. Talking to my son every day. He doesn't live by us. He lives 6 hours away. And people have recently reached out to me too, and I appreciate it. It's like, hey, we haven't talked for a while, or just like, here's a text, and it's kind of nice, and you start doing that same thing and it feels good. You connect, reconnect. And even us, we haven't talked in a couple of years. Right. But it's like picking up where we left off. Right.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. And it comes from like, hey, how you going?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, boom.
Here we are. But and it kind of goes, a different topic, it's just like investing in people too. It helps them and it helps you and kind of goes back circle. Like you can't do it alone. So
can't do it alone. And it's not a zero-sum game. And I think some people are like, well, if I can't give my love, or I can't give my caring, or I can't show my concern to everybody because then I'd use up all my love, caring, and concern.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Really? I don't think we consciously think about it that way, but I think sometimes people hoard that a little bit.
They do. And I think we all like to hear good things about ourselves and people say things, but it does give you a good feeling. Celebrate somebody else. Right.
Yeah.
So that makes them happy.
Yeah. I think it's better for the world that way. Celebrate others.
Got a lot of little nuggets that you can put in the show notes here.
Oh yeah. These things write themselves. What can I say? All right. Well, we could talk for hours. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about some of this fasting and stuff. As I go through one, I'll probably bring you back on and talk to you about the hellscape that was, or how much I liked it. One of the two.
Nice. Yeah. Hopefully you get some people listening and stuff, and it's worth actually having me back on,
You're always worth having on, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Thank you very much for being here, man.
All right. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Drink Coffee, Do Cool Stuff. If something landed, hit subscribe, share it with someone who needs it, and keep showing up with purpose. A quick note before you go. Everything we talk about here is for your own reflection and growth. Nothing in this podcast is legal, medical, or mental health advice. I'm not a lawyer, doctor, or therapist. Just someone who's been down a few roads and wants to share what I've learned. Furthermore, everything shared here reflects personal experiences and opinions, not those of any employer or organization. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and keep building your version of a life that matters.